Hello, my name is Oliver Loveday and my project is on tropical rainforests. Today I'm going to be talking about what is a tropical rainforest, where are tropical rainforests located, why they are important to us, damaging effects currently to tropical rainforests, and solutions to these damaging effects and how we can fix this problem currently. First, what is a tropical rainforest? So a tropical rainforest is pretty much, it's a forest that has year-round heat and wetness. On average, it is about 50 to 260 inches of rain yearly. Between 68 and 94 degrees average temperature, so it's pretty hot. It can drop below 68 and go a little bit higher than 94. But it's around that range in average. It's home to more than half of the world's plant and animal species, so we see how important they are. And it provides 40% of the world's oxygen, so very important. And we see here, where are they located? So we see that pretty much everywhere but Europe and Antarctica. North America has one. Most of them are in South America, Africa, Southeast Asia. The big one that you may be thinking of is the Amazon rainforest. That's the real big one. That's in Brazil. And just continued here. So the tropical rainforests are near the equator, about usually 10 degrees north or south, which explains the heat. And it's about 57% of them are in Latin America. A third of them are in Brazil alone, so we can see that it's the hot spot for sure. 25% in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands, and about 18% in West Africa. Why are they important? So we want to know why tropical rainforests are important. And so for one, the trees in the forest, they absorb greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. It produces oxygen. Like I mentioned earlier, it's 40% of the world's oxygen. It's home to plants and animals, about 50% or more. Provides nourishing rainfall. It helps stabilize the climate. Just a little bit on that before we get into it later. And carbon dioxide is leaked into our air. It is leaked into the atmosphere and acts like a trap, like a warming blanket, and it'll eventually, warm up the earth if too much. So they're very important in absorbing these dangerous greenhouse gases. And of course, they're beautiful to look at. We see the photos of them, very green, and animals and plants, and very beautiful. So what is happening to our tropical rainforests? Why is this an issue? Why is this being brought up? So for one, the big one, deforestation. From 16% of Earth's land area to 6%. So we can see definitely that deforestation is definitely clearing out these forests, these important forests. It's down to 6% now, recent studies show. And also I like to put a lack of exposure. Before this class, I'd hear about it, I'd think of maybe the Amazon one, but I would just think of all the positives, plants, animals, it looked very beautiful, but I didn't know anything going on behind the scenes of dangerous effects. So maybe more awareness and exposure on this topic will help for more solutions to occur. So definitions of deforestation and why it happens. So deforestation is the action of clearing a wide area of trees. So pretty much just like clearing them out, cutting them down, wiping them out. And the reasons for this is logging, for one, agricultural expansion, palm oil companies, and livestock ranching. So I'm going to touch on all of those. So logging, pretty straightforward here. Cutting down trees to harvest wood, products, or fuel. Large areas must be cleared because especially the trucks that are rolling in and these machines to clear them, you gotta have enough space, so they're clearing out a ton. And I would say this is the biggest reason for deforestation. This and clearing way for crops for sure. Agricultural expansion. Farmers clear land for crops and cattle. They use that slash and burn technique, so pretty much, plain and simple, cut down and burn. And The sad part about this is that once it's cleared and it's used for crops, um, after a while the soil is too degraded, and so what owners do is that they have to move on, of course, right? Or else they're not going to produce anything, so they have to eventually clear more paths, which leads to more deforestation. Livestock ranching. So farmers also, besides just crops, they clear land for cattle, and 80% of this is happening. 80% of Brazil deforestation is for their cattle, and so this is the biggest problem to the Amazon rainforest, because we mentioned that that big Amazon tropical rainforest is in Brazil. So this is very dangerous. And palm oil. So palm oil, it's mostly commonly produced vegetable oil. It's found in many of our foods and fuels. And an interesting fact, palm oil-based biofuels have 3 times the amount of climate impact than fossil fuels. So we always hear about coal burning and fossil fuels being very damaging to our environment, our atmosphere. So these are 3 times the amount. So it's very damaging. And of course, the reason why is these palm oil companies, they got to produce, so they're driving this clearing for sure. Okay, so the negative effects of deforestation: climate change, loss of species, soil erosion. Okay, all big ones for our environment. So I'm going to touch on these. So climate change. Cutting down trees allows more carbon dioxide into the air, like I mentioned earlier. And when too much of this CO2 is in the air, it acts as a trapping blanket that eventually warms the planet. And we know what happens when climate change happens. We know that the polar caps melt, animals are dying because they're having to relocate, there's no food. Very damaging effects of climate change for sure. Sea levels rising, warmer temperatures in oceans, which cause floods. It's disastrous. Climate change has to stop, and deforestation is a big reason why it's continuing to go on and get worse. And these dangerous greenhouse gases are leaked in the air instead of being soaked up by these trees. Loss of species. So 70% of animals are losing their habitat in these forests, and this leads to animal extinction. And this is a really big thing, because animals, they have every right to live like we do, and they're very important to our ecosystem. And also it affects the local population nearby, because obviously some of these people hunt these animals as a source of, for their food, their only food that they have. And soil erosion. Without tree roots, the soil is damaged, leaving vegetables to die. So, bad soil, you can't plant anything. And palm oil plants, soy oil and coffee beans, stuff like that, planted, ruining the soil because the roots cannot hold on to the soil. So the soil ends up being damaged as well. And then also, by damaged soil, it leaves the salt entering the water, so it can definitely make the waters unclean to drink. Solutions to saving tropical rainforests. So definitely go green. Recycling can lead to less demand of wood, so limiting logging, which is a huge reason for deforestation. Laws and regulations. So by having laws in place, it will force landowners and companies to limit, maybe penalties or harsh fines will force these companies to have secondary ways to get what they need and stop deforestation. And reforestation. So communities already are coming together to plant and regrow forests. And we saw that Brazil, just for example, Brazil had incentives, and now they're already limiting deforestation by a huge rate. And they plan by 2050 to have 0%, like none happening at all. So we definitely see with incentives and stricter laws that change can definitely happen. Importance reviewed. So protect animals and plants. We know that over 50% it's their home. So we want to protect them, give them a home. It's very important to our ecosystem. Help limit climate change. We know how huge climate change is and dangerous. So trees suck up these harmful gases. So we need them there. And keep oxygen flowing. We know oxygen is very important for animals, plants, ourselves to breathe. And if it's providing 40% of the world's oxygen, we definitely need it. So, and these are my source citations for my project. And hopefully that summed up the gist of what tropical rainforests are and why we definitely need to continue to protect our tropical rainforests and the solutions that we can to get to that point. Thank you so much.